Everything you've been told about saving money is true, and it's also the exact reason you're not getting rich. Here's what I mean. $10,000 left sitting in a normal savings account barely grows at all. That same $10,000 put to work the right way can turn into more than $189,000 over 30 years. Same person, same starting amount, completely different outcome based on one single decision. Wait, am I doing this wrong? If that thought just crossed your mind, good. That's exactly the question this video is built around. This video isn't going to tell you to save less carefully. It's going to show you exactly what wealthy people actually do with their money after the saving part, because that's where the real gap is. And in a few minutes, I'm going to correct a statistic you've probably heard repeated 100 times, because it turns out to be false. Let's talk about the problem first. Most of us were raised with the same financial advice, on repeat. Save your money? That's it. That's the whole strategy. No next step ever explained. Nobody sat us down and said, and here's what to actually do with it once it's saved. The lesson just stopped there, like saving was the destination instead of the very first stop. Here's the actual problem with that. Saving was never designed to build wealth. It was only ever designed to protect what you already have. Using it as your entire strategy is like putting the parking brake on and expecting it to drive you somewhere. It's doing its job. It's just not the job you actually need done. And this isn't just a one-country problem. Whether you're saving in dollars, pounds, euros, or anything else, the same structural issue shows up almost everywhere. A savings account protects your money. It doesn't grow it in any meaningful way. This isn't about which bank you use or which country you live in. It's a math problem, and math doesn't care about borders. Picture two people who both start with the exact same amount of money and the exact same discipline. Both of them save consistently every month without fail for years. One of them leaves every dollar sitting in a regular account. The other one keeps the same saving habit but sends a portion of it somewhere that actually grows. On paper, in year one, they look almost identical. Same effort, same discipline, same sacrifice. But by year 20, their lives look nothing alike. And the only difference between them was never how hard they worked or how much they earned. It was where the money was allowed to go. So if saving alone doesn't work, and nearly everyone is taught to do exactly that, why does this keep happening? Generation after generation. Let's go through why, quickly, because you might already know part of this. Prices go up a little every year. If your money isn't growing at least as fast, it's quietly losing real value, even while the number on your screen stays exactly the same, or even grows a little. Someone earning close to nothing in interest, while prices climb a few percent a year, is losing real buying power, dollar for dollar, without ever seeing a single red number anywhere on their account. Picture it like this. Imagine filling a bucket with water while a small, steady leak drains it from the bottom at almost the same rate. From a distance, the water level looks like it's holding steady. Up close, you'd notice you're not actually collecting anything. That's what a normal savings account does to your money, while inflation quietly runs in the background. The leak doesn't show up on your bank statement. It shows up later, at the grocery store, at the gas pump, in rent. Here's the cleanest way to say it. Saving protects you from losing money fast. It does nothing to help you gain money at all. Those are two completely different jobs. Most of us were only ever taught the first one. So what do the people who actually build wealth understand that most of us were never taught? This is where this video actually starts. You've probably heard this one before. The IRS says the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. It gets repeated in videos, in articles, in casual conversation, always with the same confident tone, like it's a settled official fact. I need to stop you right there, because that specific claim isn't real. It's not traceable to any actual IRS report. It looks like it got mixed up somewhere along the way with a completely different real study, and then repeated so many times by so many people that it just started sounding official. Here's what that real study actually found. A researcher spent 5 years studying 233 wealthy individuals. His actual finding was that 65% of self-made millionaires had at least 3 income streams before they made their first million, not 7 streams after becoming wealthy. 3 or more on the way there. 45% had 4, 29% had 5 or more. Nowhere in the real data does the number land on 7 as some kind of average. That distinction matters a lot. Multiple income streams aren't a reward you get for already being rich. They're one of the actual causes of becoming rich in the first place. And 3 is a much more realistic, achievable target than the myth of 7 ever was. For what it's worth, the commonly listed categories are still useful to know, even without the fake statistic attached to them. A paycheck, profit from a business, interest, dividends, rental income, capital gains, royalties. Think of that less as a checklist to complete and more as a menu, where most people only ever taste the first item and never look at the rest. So if building more than one income stream is part of the real pattern, what are these income streams actually supposed to be attached to? That's where we're headed next. Here's a simple filter that changes how you look at every purchase. An asset puts money in your pocket over time. A liability costs you money to maintain. A lot of things that feel like wins, a bigger phone plan, a nicer car, a fancier apartment, are actually liabilities wearing a disguise. They cost money every single month, forever, and they never send any of it back. This filter works the same way no matter what your income looks like. If you're earning a modest income, it helps you protect the little bit you're able to set aside, so it actually goes somewhere instead of quietly leaking out. If you're earning an average income, it helps you catch the lifestyle upgrades that feel earned but don't actually build anything. And if you're earning a high income, it might matter even more, because a bigger paycheck can hide liabilities disguised as rewards for a lot longer before anyone notices the trap. Now, here's a genuinely accessible example of an actual asset. Some investments pay you a small regular income just for owning them. It's called dividend investing, and the income can be reinvested to grow even faster over time. You don't need to be wealthy to start. Low-cost, diversified options exist specifically built for this, with fees so small they barely register against the returns you're aiming for. This is one of the simplest, lowest barrier ways to go from only saving to actually owning something that works for you, even if you're starting with an amount that feels small. Now let's talk about something more powerful, and also more dangerous if it's used carelessly. Leverage. Leverage means using a manageable amount of borrowed money to control an asset that's bigger than what you could buy outright with cash. The clearest example is a mortgage on a property that earns rental income. You put down a portion of the value, the bank covers the rest, and the income or growth from the entire property works in your favor, not just the piece you personally paid for. A relatively small amount of your own money ends up controlling something much larger, and the returns are calculated on the full value, not just your slice of it. Here's the honest part. This exact same tool, used carelessly, is also where some of the worst financial disasters happen. Borrowing against something that loses value instead of something that produces income or grows turns the exact same mechanism from an accelerator into a trap. Picture someone financing a brand new vehicle that starts losing value the moment it leaves the lot, using debt to fund something that's guaranteed to be worth less every single year, with monthly payments stretching on long after the excitement of the purchase has faded. Same tool as the property example. Completely opposite result. We'll come back to that. And this is where multiple income streams actually connect to everything else. A paycheck, a small business, dividends, rental income. These aren't separate ideas floating around randomly. They're layers stacked on top of the same foundation, each one compounding the others. Someone doesn't need all of them at once. They usually start with one, add a second when the first one is stable, and the whole thing builds slowly, layer by layer, rather than all at once. All of this probably sounds good in theory, so here's what it actually looks like with real numbers attached. Remember that $10,000 from the beginning of this video? Left in a low-yield account, it barely moves over 30 years, maybe growing by a few $100s total once you account for what inflation quietly takes. Invested instead at the stock market's long-term historical average, it turns into more than $189,000 over that same stretch. That's not a different starting amount. That's the exact same money, just given a different job to do. And you don't need $10,000 sitting around to start. Even modest, consistent contributions into something that pays you back, left alone and reinvested, compound in the exact same direction. Someone setting aside a small amount every single month into an asset that grows and pays a bit of income along the way is running the exact same mechanism as the $10,000 example, just starting from wherever they actually are today instead of requiring some huge lump sum first. The starting number matters far less than most people assume. The decision to start and the decision to leave it alone matter far more. I want to be honest with you here. None of this is instant. None of it removes risk completely. These numbers work because of time and consistency, not because of some shortcut nobody else has found. If anyone promises you a faster version of this without the time part included, that's usually the moment to be skeptical, not excited. But here's exactly where people take these same good ideas and quietly ruin them. Mistake 1. Treating a raise or a new income stream as extra spending money instead of fuel for the next asset. The new money shows up, the lifestyle quietly grows to match it almost immediately. And a year later, nothing's actually changed except the numbers got bigger on both sides, income and spending, at the exact same pace. Mistake 2. Confusing a liability for an asset. Buying something that feels like progress, something that looks good, something people compliment, when really, it just costs money going forward, forever, with nothing coming back. The feeling of moving forward and the reality of moving forward are not always the same thing. Mistake 3. Misusing leverage. Remember that powerful tool from a few minutes ago? Borrowing to fund a depreciating purchase, something that loses value the moment you drive it off the lot or swipe the card, instead of something that produces income or grows in value, turns that exact same tool into the most common cause of real financial damage. Same mechanism, completely different outcome, depending entirely on what it's pointed at. Mistake 4. Chasing a specific number of income streams like it's a checklist to complete, instead of letting them grow naturally out of real opportunity and habits you've already built. Forcing a fifth or sixth income stream before the first one is even stable usually just spreads your attention thin across everything, instead of building real depth in anything. So here's exactly what to do instead, starting with whatever amount of money you actually have right now, whether that's a little or a lot. Redirect any new income, a raise, a side project, a first investment payout toward the next asset before it quietly becomes your new normal spending level. The moment new money arrives is the moment it's easiest to redirect because you were never used to having it in the first place. Wait even a few months and it starts to feel like it was always yours to spend. Run every non-essential purchase through that simple filter from earlier. Does this put money in my pocket over time, or does it just take money out of it forever? You don't need to run this on groceries or rent. Run it on the purchases that feel like upgrades, the ones that come with a little bit of pride attached. Those are exactly the ones worth double-checking. Start one small, low-cost, income-generating investment today. Not someday. Today. The amount matters far less than actually starting, because the version of you 5 years from now benefits enormously from the version of you today simply getting in the door, even with a small amount. If you're ever considering leverage, only point it at something that can generate income or realistically grow in value. Never at something that's guaranteed to be worth less the moment you buy it. If you're not sure which category something falls into, that uncertainty is itself the answer. Wait until you're sure. And let a second and third income stream grow out of genuine opportunity, not out of forcing a number because you read somewhere that it's supposed to be 7. Build the first one until it's steady. Then, and only then, look for the second. This works whether you're earning a modest income right now, an average one, or a high one. The mechanism doesn't change based on your paycheck. What changes is just how quickly it compounds, and that mostly comes down to how early you start, not how much you start with. Someone starting small today, consistently, for years, very often ends up ahead of someone who waited for a bigger number before they were willing to begin at all. So let's go back to where we began. Saving was never the finish line. It was only ever step 1, and most of us were taught to stop right there and call it a complete plan. Here's the one sentence worth carrying out of this video. The goal was never to stop saving carefully. The goal is to stop only saving and start putting that same discipline to work. Think about the version of you 30 years from now. That person is going to be living with the results of decisions you're making this week, this month, this year, whether or not you're thinking about them right now. The good news is that none of what we covered today requires a big leap. It just requires a different destination for money you were probably already setting aside. So think about this honestly for a second. Out of saving, investing, and building real assets, which one has most of your actual effort been going toward? If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more business and wealth building content.